Welcome back. This is episode 75. This is Pop Kannon, and we are your hosts. My name is Jordan.
I'm Robert.
And I'm Joe.
Today we are in the Multiverse of Madness. We're talking Doctor Strange 2, and it's directed by Sam Raimi.
It certainly was.
He's got his paw prints all over this.
Initial thoughts, guys.
I fucking loved this movie. I had so much fun. Right from the beginning. It's just suspension of belief, and I was whisked away for 2 hours, and I enjoyed myself, and I came back to find out that some people didn't like this movie, and I don't know what the fuck their problem is. Joe.
I do think this movie's kind of a mess, but it's a fun mess.
Mm-hmm.
I was definitely along for the ride. It's a little bit kind of in the same vein as Endgame of like, if you're a big fan of all of these movies, it's going to be giving you a lot of treats. But I can see like if you're not really bought in by this point, I don't know what you were expecting, but it probably wasn't for you. I think it was probably the strongest villain in all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in terms of like characterization and belief in their desire, I guess, and their terrifyingness. I think it was also like a really effective horror movie for Marvel, which I know like they had talked about wanting the first Doctor Strange to be more of a horror movie, but it kind of got away from them just to be more of an origin movie.
Yeah.
So like while Scott Derrickson couldn't come back, or he chose to leave, whatever happened there, I do think like Sam Raimi was probably the perfect person to pick up the pieces. Yeah, it was just a ton of really fun and actually legitimately scary things from Marvel, which I didn't expect. Jordan?
I definitely enjoyed this movie wholeheartedly, had a great time. What you said about the villain couldn't be any more true. Of course, I'm talking about the Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, played by the lovely Elizabeth Olsen. Her performance in this film was mesmerizing. I was so bought in on that character and her motivations and her drive from the jump that everything that she did meant something, and I appreciated that. I also really appreciate what Sam Raimi did for the MCU, because I really think this is one of the best looking Marvel movies, like, of all time. Like, just from the way it was shot, the way that he moved the camera in this movie. Bravo. Because it, like...
And the transitions.
It was very reminiscent of his earlier horror films, which I very much appreciated. So overall, I liked this movie quite a bit. It's not perfect. It does have its bumps and bruises, but we'll get into all of that. So I kind of went off because Wanda obviously was my favorite character. What did you guys think about Wanda?
I just like that she, at a certain point, wasn't holding herself back, and we got to see like the full power of Scarlet Witch at scale. Loved everything about that, honestly, because we hear about her being powerful, and you see glimpses of it in previous movies that she's been in, and then through WandaVision, obviously the extent of her powers are known, but like to see her actually using them in a physical way, I guess, to hurt and maim. If the assault on Camartage was just like amazing, because it was the dread of knowing like she's gonna fucking destroy them. She's gonna fucking destroy them, and she did. I loved everything about that, and yeah, to your point about her drive and everything, having so much background with the character before we get here helps so much. Knowing that that's what she's after and what she's had to give up again. Yeah, everything that they did for her arc, I think in this was A+ superb.
Yeah, I think it was kind of a culmination for the character. Like, she's had more appearances than most other people in the MCU at this point, I think. Certainly more than Doctor Strange has. So to have that pay off in such a big way, it was really terrifying. I kind of wish she didn't come in at 11 like she did and then end up at like 15 by the end. But it was good to finally see them make good on like the check that they've been writing, that like, oh, she's the most powerful person in the universe. Like, oh, she could have taken Thanos if whatever happened didn't happen in Endgame, at the like airstrike came in. But yeah, to see her like solo all of the Illuminati and like the people who like are like the strongest in that universe, and then she could have taken on anybody in that universe as well, was really actually pretty viscerally terrifying. I did think it was a little bit of like a cop out to be like, oh, the Darkhold has corrupted her. I kind of would have liked, I guess, more agency of Wanda, to not be like, oh, she's like possessed by this dark object, to have her actually making more of a choice. Because I do think it kind of gave her a window at like redemption by the end, which isn't a bad thing. But I think it'd be better to see that redemption earned.
But I think she'll still have to do that, though.
I do. Yeah, I agree with that. Even like the end of WandaVision, she had some redemption that she had to do. And now she has a lot more.
Yeah. She's killed a lot of people.
Yeah. But I think if she killed a lot of people and she had more regency over that, a lot of people would just view her as irredeemable at that point.
Yeah.
You know, like once you go to that dark side, like, could you ever fully come back and be like a hero? And I think this left Wanda in a place where, yes, she absolutely can. And I think she absolutely will be back in the future doing more within the MCU. Because I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, well, she died at the end.
No.
Which immediately I was like, no. Not even, like, that thought did not cross my mind.
It's like, it's intentionally ambiguous, but like any ambiguity in this world means it's not.
I mean, in a movie where we watched several people die in very grotesque, disgusting ways, when we saw it like firsthand, to have her death be across a fucking, like a huge cascade of rocks and shit. Like there's no, we didn't see her body. So we saw the red explosion. She fucking got herself out of there.
Where she winds up again, I'm not entirely sure. But I hope it's not that long before we see her again.
For sure.
I think it's going to be a while, just because now they've established like we need a particularly big threat to put Wanda back on the board.
True, but you could tease that. You could set that up and give it to us in bite-sized pieces. I'm not even saying we need Wanda starring in like a television series or anything. I'm saying like
include her in another
show up in like at least one episode of some other show.
Right.
She doesn't even have to use her powers.
I loved that they mentioned Chthon, the chaos magic provider from which she draws it from. Love that they name dropped that character. I thought maybe we would get more of an explanation as to what chaos magic is versus everything else. But I'm assuming that their explanation just goes more along the lines of witchcraft versus otherwise. But I mean, even Agatha Harkness uses witchcraft, and it's not the same color.
Yeah. But, I mean, maybe they'll dive into that more in her series. That may or may not happen.
Right, and that might be where you see Wanda next.
True. But, like, there were plenty of other characters in this movie that made it fun, including America. I think America Chavez was, like, fun as hell in this movie. She was charming and yet somehow still had an attitude about her, and I liked it. So, bravo to that actress. She didn't annoy me, which is not always guaranteed in these movies.
Before we started recording, and I was talking to Joe, I said, in the pantheon of like kid characters that are added to films, and subsequently annoy the shit out of me, she's not up there amongst the tops at all. I don't think anybody's going to top that kid in Deadpool 2, but she's definitely not up there with how annoying that fucking kid was for me. I actually enjoyed her. I thought she was her power is super interesting. I really liked how it looked visually, like when she would do it, the star, and how there would be several of them kind of, and it was like a tunnel almost, and it wasn't metallic, but it was kind of like shiny on the edges of it and shit like that. Like that was that was really awesome design, I thought.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it, I thought it looked a little goofy. Not gonna lie.
So I wasn't sure about it, but as the movie progressed and she uses it more and more, every time I saw it, you kind of see it for longer. Mm-hmm. And when she's especially doing it in the living room of the house where Wanda terrified her kids accidentally, it was just so prominent there and was really like glowing in the background, and I thought it looked awesome because there were the additional stars in the back, that kind of quantum tunnel situation.
Yeah, and I love that like shatter effect when it first opens up too.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy that, but I'm just saying the star pattern to me looked goofy, and it felt off in the moment that we saw it, because I was just like, oh, her name's America, and she has a star for her power. It's just a little, okay, whatever. We'll let it go. We'll let it slide.
It is straight out of the comics, if that helps at all, and like...
A little, yeah. But that's the thing. I've never even read anything with her involved, so... But I enjoyed the character that we were presented with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like, as a huge fanboy for Kieran Gillen's run on Young Avengers, to see yet another character from that series introduced was very exciting for me. I think her characterization was a tad different here than in the comics. She's a little more tough and no nonsense in the comics, which part of me wanted to see, but like I wasn't unhappy with the character that we got. I did think Xochitl Gomez did a really great job. I'm a little like curious why she's like studying magic now, but I guess that'll mean something at some point.
Like that she's able to go from universe to universe eventually at will, I feel like. But Ned can just do a sling ring and it's all good.
He didn't.
And she's got to
but he didn't go to a different universe.
No, I know, but I'm saying she has the power to do that.
Oh yeah,
and she's struggling to open the portals at the end. But Ned just like grabbed a sling ring and was like, Peter Parker, and fucking found one.
It's in his blood. It's fine.
They have the magic. His grandma said that.
That's true. Yeah. And she is not.
It's that hobgoblin magic in him.
It's happening.
Anyway. Any other thoughts on America?
No, I'm just excited to see where she turns up next. I personally like the visualization of her powers. I know, like, to Yezi's note of like the criticisms we've seen, I don't know why people are hating on America. Like, it's a really weird, I guess it's not that weird to think that racists and homophobes cross over, but like people think that she was just there like as like a pandering reference, when like beyond the pin, they don't even mention her sexuality. And they show her moms and like, that's it. But like, that's straight out of the comics too. It's not like they fabricated anything.
Exactly. But people just get like, outraged.
Even if they had like made it up for the character, like
still doesn't.
She has parents. Like, what do you want?
Yeah. Who cares? Like, why does that matter?
Yeah.
For the people that complain about them not staying true to the books, they stay true to the books here and get crucified for it anyway. Yeah. So it's like, okay.
But the people that are mad about it don't read those books anyway.
Oh, no, I know.
Right.
I know.
They just feel as though like people are injecting their opinions.
Just wait till Jane Foster Thor and the people who didn't read it get mad all over again.
Oh, yeah.
But either way, I thought America was fun. And by the end, I'm glad that she was able to like conjure her powers. Like you could have done it the whole time.
I did really like that little like speech he gives as a zombie at the end of like, it's not about whether or not you can. The fact is that you have been doing it the whole time. Like,
Right.
like I liked that bit of like everywhere we went was exactly where we needed to be. So,
And it seemed like she only really did it when she was in fear for her life.
at first, yeah. But by the end, she's making decisions. Like she chooses to go to the other Wanda's house and expose her.
Yeah. But I just like at first, that's where it was like coming from. And I think during the course of this movie, she kind of realizes that. And that's when she's like, oh, okay. I just need to be scared like that and it'll open.
Did I leave the stove on?
Yeah.
She can travel the multiverse. I can't do it on command. She can't do it on command.
Speaking of speeches, though, that he gave her, I did enjoy the one that he talked to her about, like, well, your parents, they might still be out there. Like, that was like a fun burst of positivity. Because there were some cheesy lines in this movie, but there were some really heartfelt moments.
I think that speech specifically goes to the character development of Stephen Strange through all of the times that we've seen him. Because Stephen Strange in Doctor Strange #1 is not giving that speech to any stupid fucking kid that he sees come running across his face. Like,
I think Doctor Strange is becoming like the dad of the Marvel universe. Like between all of his interactions with Spider-Man, he gives him the little like, all the people that love you will all forget, and Peter's like, you love me.
He is kind of like a mentor of sorts to these kids, which is not a position that he would have been in if he just was a doctor.
Yeah.
You know? And I think he likes that too, because he likes the admiration.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like Peter calling him
Sir.
Yeah. Makes him kind of like, well, you could call me Steven because we kind of hung out, you know?
Keeping with Doctor Strange, I thought Benedict Cumberbatch was great.
Yeah. He did a lot.
Everyone saying that he was not the star of his own movie. I think they're liars, because he is the star here.
And no matter what, he's the protagonist of this film. So like, I don't care what way you look at it, he's the protagonist. So he has a supporting cast and there's a villain, and they give time to all of those people. I don't know what else you want. Like, if the camera was on him for the whole fucking movie, everybody would be complaining, oh, they promised all this shit and all we saw was Stephen Strange. What do you want? What do you want him to do?
I do wish that we saw more than 2 Stephen Stranges, though.
Yes. That's the one thing that I have wrong majorly with this film, is I feel like we should have seen more multiverses.
I forgot about the one. But, yeah.
Well, yeah, you get Defender Strange at the beginning that dies. You get regular Stephen Strange, our Stephen Strange, and you get the Sinister one at the end.
Yeah. And then,
but then you also
talk about the Illuminati.
They talk about the other one that existed that they, I guess, killed or decided to kill, as opposed to like dying and killing Thanos. So we're aware of 4 of them. We see 3 of them. One of them is part of the plot moving forward. Like, the one that we don't see is part of the plot moving forward. I think, given the fact that it was only 2 hours and it's not the 2-hour 40 cut, you got to do what you got to do. And that's a lot of the same character to show people and try to make sure that they don't fucking lose where they're at. And that's why they kept having him announce how many versions of him they've seen so far to help the audience keep track of how many times they've seen him so far.
Yeah. The other gripe I'll say about one of the Stranges is I don't think in the amount of time they were gone, that body would have decomposed that much.
That much? Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was still
do
a
we
cool
know
visual
how
of him
time
as
works
zombie.
elsewhere?
Maybe, yeah, if your body doesn't belong, it decomposes a lot faster in that universe.
Maybe.
My atoms aren't that jazzed about being in a different universe.
Write it down. We figured it out.
How many times can I quote Spider-Verse in this podcast?
Let us know on Twitter how many times Joe quotes
Specifically quotes Spider-Verse. That's funny. I think the biggest issue to me of the whole thing was just like, I know that the Book of Vishanti was like obviously a MacGuffin, right? Yeah. But like to really wither it away the way that they did at the end, where it was like, we're finally getting the thing that has all of the things that he could possibly need, and then it doesn't even. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Give me what I need.
Yeah, it's much ado about nothing for the Book of Vishanti, which kind of sucked. But like
the clean slate.
Yes.
The ultimate tool for the master thief.
I just like
it's the same thing.
Yeah, but like the thing is, it's like I was upset about it because they talked about it so much and we didn't get to see it. But like with what we got, I wasn't upset. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If they had dropped the ball in any of the other facets, maybe I would have been more upset at that decision. But like, it's a complaint because we talked about that fucking thing for like 2 hours and then it wound up being nothing. Mm-hmm. But like, what we got was perfectly fine, so I was okay with it.
I thought the area where it was kept was fucking incredible.
Dude.
The place between.
Yeah. The design of that was unbelievable.
Yeah. I'm sure there are so many Easter eggs hidden within that like landscape.
Yeah.
In that, and just when they were going through all of the universes together, all of those different places, and you're looking as they're speeding through for all of any possible little detail that your eye can catch as the camera's just fucking whipping past everything. Yeah. Like the one where they turned into paint. I'm so glad that he mentioned it afterward, because I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I wish we got more sequences like that. The first Doctor Strange had some incredible mind-bending moments and visuals, and I wish we got more of that kind of style stuff in this movie. Because that mixed with the horror elements that we got would have blown my mind.
I mean, in one case it did. Like that whole sequence after he puts Wanda in the mirror dimension and then she's just like, well, now I'll just use the reflections. Like that was really one. When she's first in there, the visuals are amazing of like every time the camera like pans away but comes back to the same place. And then like that moment where she reaches through. Yeah. Like that really did like give me chills when she touches it, and that water effect, the sound effect. Yeah. And then it led to like a very terrifying chase sequence of her like coming through every reflection. And like when she like breaks her body to fit through the gong.
Yep. So cool.
I just love that they let her be a witch.
Yeah.
Oh you know what I mean? Like
that flash when she's fighting in like the Mindscape with Professor X, who we'll talk about eventually. Like that flash like burned in my eyes, even though it was only like maybe 2 frames that you see of her like monstrous appearance.
Yeah.
I loved that. That was my favorite scene of the movie.
Which one?
Was her going through killing the Illuminati.
Well, let's just talk about them, because
we have to.
So we meet Mordo, but it's not the Mordo that we know.
Yeah, which...
Are you in the camp that you're annoyed that this Mordo has no connection to the Mordo that we know because of all the emotional shit that they waited on him, and then it's just like gone now?
Yes.
Okay.
I do think it's frustrating that we still don't know what, if anything, the main Mordo is doing. Like, I feel like there probably would have been more noise if he's actually been killing off sorcerers like he promised he would. Maybe we'll see if that picks up. Maybe that's just like another, like similar to the early days of the MCU, just like we're just gonna write that check and then never cash it.
Or stay tuned for a 6-episode series on Disney Plus called Mordo.
Yeah. Mordo and the leader just like hanging out somewhere.
Just drinking tea and shit. Well, first there's Dr. Christine name drops Baxter Foundation, which for me was enough. I was already,
like, yes, we're there.
I looked over at Amanda and I was like, and then like he's just like, yeah, we're gonna go see the Illuminati, let's go. And I was like, what the fuck, are you serious? We're just jumping right into that shit. And then they did. And it had some of the people that I expected. And it had some people I did not expect at all. And some actors I didn't expect at all. And I'm not even talking about the big one. I'm talking about the guy Black Bolt came back from the shitty TV show. Like, they brought him back. Like, good for that fucking dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, good for him. He still managed to be fucking awkward.
That was definitely his swan song in the MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least I hope.
They're definitely going to have a different actor play that from now on, I feel like. If they get to him, which, you know. And then we got Captain Carter from What If in the flesh. Liked it. Loved that. Love seeing her in person like that. Because, I mean, What If episode was cool enough. But to actually see her and then see her in action was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Maria Rambeau's Captain Marvel. And then John Krasinski as Reed Richards. Which was just like a... And they even made him materialize in a way that you had to wait for his face to appear. But
and like Amanda showed up on
literally
screen and I saw him and I immediately was like, ah!
And it was the immediate 1-2 punch for me of like John Krasinski is Reed Richards, and then he says the word incursion, and I'm like, Secret Wars is happening.
Dude, Amanda was literally like out loud was like, shut the fuck up.
Cheyenne screamed a little bit.
Yeah, it was such a great moment and such a great reaction. And then Mordo obviously is the other guy on it. Oh, and then Charles Xavier, whatever.
Sir Patrick Stewart.
They only dropped the X-Men 97 fucking theme in really quickly.
Yeah. And he showed up on the yellow hovercraft.
Which goes to Joe's point. He texted us before the movie ever happened, and he said, I guarantee you that's the fucking Charles Xavier from the animated universe.
Well, we don't know that, obviously. That they're all from the Go on Red universe, right?
Yes. I like that.
They're all from Earth 838.
So, I think that does kind of shoot my theory in the leg that is the... And, you know, the fact that he's now fucking dead.
But, like, do we then... Is there even a possibility that we get a fucking 6-episode Disney Plus series of it's just called Earth 838, and it's just all those characters? Just whatever happens on their Earth.
No, I don't think so. I think...
Well, now they're all dead, so...
I love that sequence just because they didn't spend a ton of time, like, giving you a history... But they did so much to make you see that there was a history. Like they all lived in that universe. And like, I like that it wasn't the comics universe. And like, I'm sure people are upset that they like named MCU as 616, but like, you can't really acknowledge that the comics exist out there when the comics have already done Secret Wars and collapsed the multiverse once before.
But like, we've also... The MCU has been pretty not shy about being the 616 universe, I feel like.
Well, they name dropped it once in like when they
Thor the Dark World.
Did they?
I'm pretty sure it was at least on the whiteboard.
Oh, okay.
That Selvig was like doing the math on. It was like 616 and it was circled.
Yeah. And then
so like we've been aware that that's
Mysterio
the most
name
likely
dropped 616 too.
Yes,
which is like he just kind of like guessed and got it right.
Or it's one of those fringe theories out there because Selvig put it out there that it's like
maybe
QAnon, but you know,
maybe the Mysterio in 838 worked for the Baxter Foundation and he had a dream and he just like that just kind of stuck in his head. That like 616 was our universe.
That's pretty
See,
sweet.
I didn't like the fact that they were like dreams are windows to other realities.
No, that's the coolest. That
is like an actual like
the linchpin
it's a cool
concept
thought
of the film.
project, but applied to the MCU to me is like weird.
And they said it like it was a fact.
That's what I mean.
Like it's not even like it's like we know that when you go to sleep and you see other things, you're just looking in your multiverses, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know that. We all know that. Just like the sky is blue and you go on green here. I love that. because I like when they take, like any media though, but like I like when they take like a small thing and they just make it a fact of their universe, and now you have to live around it. I love when people do that. That shit's just fun to me. But I was so surprised that What If was like important because of this movie. Like it became something that you like now is like part of the, you have to watch all of this to get all of the information. Like What If helped.
Every little piece. Though? Yeah,
because you get Captain Carter, which wouldn't. Yeah. I mean, it would make sense out of context, but you'd be like,
yeah. I mean, that wasn't the same Captain Carter, but
no, obviously, but like it's part of all of that together. It's part of the base information that you get in watching all of the MCU content versus just like a couple of the things.
Right.
Which is like when people are like, oh, I haven't seen all of that stuff. I'm just like, I don't know how you keep going to these movies then. It doesn't make sense to me.
I think it would be fun if we got The Watcher at some point, since this was like a multiverse movie. Even if he was just like a background thing.
I was almost half wishing for Jeffrey Wright to show up as a live action Watcher in this movie when I first sat down to view it.
Yeah. I feel like that would be a little uncanny if they like ballooned his head up to like make
it. They definitely have to do it CG. Yeah. Imagine if they did it like with a practical application.
Like the Wizard of Oz.
They just give him a giant fucking head. And his face is still here.
One character that we haven't talked about yet is Wong.
Because you brought up a really good point. Going to Wong.
Yeah, like I do love that they're like giving Wong a lot more to do. Like ever since like he showed up in Shang-Chi. He's definitely like behaving as like a sorcerer supreme. Like he's definitely fitting in the role. And I like that they let him keep the role by the end, and that like Strange even like acknowledges him as the sorcerer supreme. Cause like at the end of the day, like Steven doesn't really fit into that like mold.
No, because he has to break the rules.
Right. He has to break the rules and he has to go off and do his own thing. So it's better to have somebody else stay in charge.
Not necessarily allowed to do those things.
Right. Especially the way they made the Sorcerer Supreme as like a leader of like armies and stuff in this. Like Steven doesn't fit that. But like
he would have to be in Camartage like training people.
Right.
And that's not what Steven's about.
Ain't got time for that. The only thing that I didn't like was the very end when Wong for some reason is pushing Steven to kill America. And like you know that like Steven's not gonna do it, but it was just it felt very out of character for Wong to be like, we have to make this sacrifice.
But I think that goes to his being the Sorcerer Supreme and knowing
like he has to think of the greater good.
That's just unfortunately we need someone that can control her power, and she just can't do it.
Right.
So like you're gonna have to take it from her, which is what happened at the very beginning of the movie. So it was like a nice dovetail to like, they did everything that they could to beat Scarlet Witch, but they just still need somebody that can control what she can do to get out of there. Love that. But Wong specifically being the one to ask felt like it was a little rough.
Yeah. But since you've explained it, doesn't necessarily bother me that he said that now.
It bothers me slightly less now.
Slightly less,
It's still like a he just is just going to advocate for that, huh?
It's child murder, huh? Oh, Wong. Okay, I'm just going to look at you the same way. Okay, interesting.
Because it's like had they just let Wanda do it, they could have saved everybody. Like if you're going to get to that point in the film, like if you're going to get to that point in the film and just be like, you know what, it's the only way. Like we tried, never mind. Like Wanda could have just killed her, taken her power, and it would have been over. Like nothing would have happened.
But I liked Wong in this movie. I'm glad that they did not kill him off, because
definitely thought he was going to be killed off.
The way that they just cut very quickly back to Wanda, I was like, they didn't linger on him getting kicked off the mountain. Like they didn't linger on that.
Yeah.
So we're coming back to Wong.
Yeah.
I registered it in my brain. I was not fearful for Wong's safety.
He did take a pretty hefty hit and then like be passed out in the Himalayas for like a few hours, which like it really only takes like a couple seconds of skin contact to freeze out there, but
it's magic, Joe.
He's got a protection spell. He's got a protection spell just to make sure he didn't take any bodily injury. You know, a couple cuts on his head that they could easily do tomorrow and the next day and the next day are fine. But any big stuff, he's got a protection spell for.
But that did remind me that we got Mount Wundagore too, which is like a very like important location. It's just like a magic place.
So is that where the temple was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which like evidently like that's the most like significance that it has to the MCU at least. But
okay.
Dude, the fact that she had a temple built in her name and her general likeness. When I realized in the background when I saw the thing, because they kind of show it to you in passing a couple of times before they like show it to you. So like when they pulled out, I literally was like, oh my God, it's a fucking temple, dude. Like it was so crazy. It was like, it's like to her, it's built to her. And she knew immediately that it was hers, but she played for a little bit, which I was like, man, she's fucking diabolical.
It was interesting too that like in WandaVision, like we get that like, oh, the Scarlet Witch is mentioned in the Darkhold, but it's like, no, the Darkhold is about the Scarlet Witch. It's all like a book for her.
And I think that's another reason why it took such hold of her. Because she is the Scarlet Witch, it's basically about her, and she's learning how to control her own powers.
Yeah. I thought it was strange that she needed the Darkhold to do the spells from it. Like she couldn't memorize them.
Like
and
raised
do
the
them.
question, like, where did the Darkhold come from? Like, is that another Wanda somewhere that like put it in the multiverse or what?
And then she goes to that temple so she could see the things to do the spell again. Like she has to still see at some point, don't you use the magic to fucking screen cap it or something like in your brain so you can return to it at a certain point?
I think that was just strictly dream walking.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair because she probably to that point hadn't done it enough, I guess, to know it. That's fair.
And she was also drawing power from the Darkhold to do that.
To do it, yeah. So going to the temple obviously would be a pretty good place to go.
And her big fucking servants.
Dude,
those things were.
They were like just as scary as the 7 deadly sins in Shazam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you thought that those things were scary, that's like the same level, I felt like, because they were gigantic.
Yeah.
And the sound effects and the mix for them was loud and fucking scary. So like even if you looked at them and you were like, what a big fight, like it was so imposing.
Yeah. And Wanda gets like 2 of the best kind of like twist moments of like that very first time when like we go to meet her and that little like, oh, you didn't tell me her name, did you? And then that reveal of like that dead fucking red field. And then that moment when they're there and you think like, oh, we have to fight these stupid troll things and they all take a knee and you find out they're her servants. Like that's so wild. Yeah.
And they're just waiting there for her. I was like, fuck.
And they can use her magic or whatever.
Yeah.
They reminded me of a mix between Atrocitus from the Injustice games. Like that's what I would picture him looking like in 100%. Live action.
Yep.
And also something from Power Rangers.
For me, it was the mountain troll from Lord of the Rings and Megatron.
Okay, yeah.
Just kind of that gross thing with the beady little glowing eyes.
I definitely got Atrocitus for sure.
Yeah.
That's what I was like, because like also like the eyes were glowing red. So I was like, that's what it could look like.
Yeah, literally. But they also looked very practical, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
The one thing that like did look really goofy for me was, I forget the name of it, but the monster in New York Which, like, to start with, I'll say like New York was pretty wild to see again through Sam Raimi's eyes, because like the way they shot it was exactly like the Spider-Man movies. Like the pans and everything were so good. But then like the CGI on that monster, like when it picks up Wong, that looked really goofy.
I like that monster though, like the demon, I should say.
Yeah,
the designs of them were fucking awesome.
Starro with tentacles. That's even gross. That's even more gross.
Honestly, it reminded me of the Neversoft eye.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it got ripped out of his fucking eye socket?
Yeah.
You know, at a certain point, I was like, I'm over playing in giant things' eyes. Like, it's been a moment. Can we move past it now? Like, I'm tired of the eye thing because it's just, please stop jumping into eyes. Stop piercing eyes. Taking them
Robert,
out.
the problem is a bunch of optometrists got really into visual effects, and so they all went to school at the same time. And now here they are. It's their big break.
9 out of 10 optometrists would make a giant kaiju with a big eye.
If there's any mercy in it, it's that Sam Raimi gave you so much runway to know exactly what was about to happen.
Yeah.
That if you have an issue with that, you could look away.
But
the following scene does go on for a bit too long. And if I had looked back when I thought it was over, it would not have been.
But I like that monster. I thought the one that was chasing Defender Strange in America at the beginning of the movie.
That was creepy.
The whippy demon thing. I kept thinking, is that like what does he call it? The Crimson Bands of. I can see the word in my head. Is it like Cytorak or something like that? The thing that powers Juggernaut, the gem of Cytorak or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Like there's Doctor Strange does a spell when he has all those bands that whips down onto Thanos and is pulling them.
Yeah.
That's called like the Crimson Band. So I in my head was like, is that like Cytorak? Like maybe. But then, when they revealed that those were demons and they weren't monsters, it was like, oh shit!
Oh my god! And the spirits.
I love the clear delineation between sorcery and witchcraft. Yeah. I thought was really cool.
Yeah, that was a nice little touch.
Yeah, like that they're not the same. They're two very different schools, and we can't fuck with that. We have to go find somebody to deal with that shit.
Yeah, it's dark magic. It's awesome.
Love it, dude.
Yeah,
for
all the for my like gripes about how fast he decomposed, Zombie Strange was like really visually good. Like his performance was really well too. And then using the souls of the dams to make a cape of levitation was amazing.
Yeah. Visually that was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Seeing the arms coming out of him as he's doing the thing.
Yeah, that was creepy as fuck.
Oh man.
Yeah.
The visuals in this movie, there's quite a lot of them that are just terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sam Raimi, like, he's got such an eye for just like creepy horror images. And the way that he uses the frame, he utilizes every third of the frame.
Yeah.
There's no like wonky headroom.
No.
There's no like weird shots where there's like nothing in the shot. Mm-hmm. Like the composition to every one of these shots is beautiful.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think my favorite was probably when they're in the underground and Wanda's like hobbling after them. Like she's just like really beaten up from the Illuminati, but she's not slowing down or stopping. Yeah. It was really scary.
Yeah.
See, that scene pulled me out of it because they stopped running at the end when they threw the horror trope in when they stopped running.
Yeah.
She just blasted through 6 of those doors that are the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. Why are we like not hightailing it out of there?
Yeah. Because she didn't do anything to that door and they were like, what the fuck is happening?
So that's a means for, it worked.
Yeah, they were like, well, shit, I guess that door is thicker than the rest of those other doors.
Well, I think it was just what like made it better for me is like, I think just the tropiness of it, like leaning into that and like the audio mixing of like all the sound dropping out except for the drips, and then like a jump scare is coming, but you don't know from where or how, and when it happens, it's exciting. Yeah.
Because every transition from the time she stops making noise to the time that she pops up, you're like, this is going to be a jump scare. This is going to be a jump scare. This is going to be a jump scare. And then it happens, and you're like, ah, shit.
See, but my problem is I watch more horror than both of you guys, I see it way more. Mm-hmm. So it's like a much more irritating trope to me.
It is like, I don't like horror because I think most of it is lazy, but I don't think this was lazy. So
no, this was not lazy at all.
Yeah.
And it was just the effectiveness of her, like, how did she get around it? Like, we don't know how the fuck she got around it. She didn't go through it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's like terrifying to try to figure out, like, what did she do? Like, it literally seemed like there was like another hallway that she walked around the door and just came in. So
she also like materialized, like she slid in.
Yeah.
Honestly, it looked a little bit like when Pietro like stops running, but but I don't think that was intentional.
You guys mentioned like an hour ago, I would imagine now, the scene with Professor X and Wanda.
Yeah.
And the owner of the body is hidden in that bunker.
Yeah.
There's just like a moment where it's like Professor X is going through there, and I'm like, are we going to get Magneto in some form? Like, because he would know her. Like, I just, for whatever reason, specifically Professor X being in there, I thought that that was a direct lead into a Magneto moment. It didn't happen. Yeah. I don't know if they're ever going to do it.
Okay.
I don't know if they're ever going to connect those two characters in the MCU at this point.
I don't think so.
I think that they still could. Yeah. It's just like, I thought that moment would have been maybe that would take the gas out of it a little bit, though. Like, if you do want to get to that eventually, maybe kind of stifling one here would have fucked it up. But I just thought that there was a possible Magneto moment there. I love that scene. I thought it was fantastic. And then that fucking red cloud was terrifying.
when she originally showed up to Camartage, like the way that the clouds rolled in, I thought was so cool.
Yeah.
And so visually fun. And the way that she just like
emerges,
rolled in with them.
Yeah. Because it was funny that they knew it was her, but like there really wasn't an indication that it was anything other than a possible storm coming. So, like, for everybody else, they're probably like, oh shit, it's gonna start raining. And everybody at Camartage was like, it's the fucking witch.
And murdering Professor X in his fucking mind was incredible.
I would say that, I mean, aside from the obvious how fun killing the Illuminati scene was, I'll handicap that scene as like my favorite sequence, because obviously that's like a high watermark of the movie, I feel like. But that the fight with the score, when Strange is fighting Sinister Strange and they're using the fucking music notes to throw back and forth at each other,
and Danny Elfman's
that was unbelievable.
Oh my god,
it was unbelievable.
It was like a little like corny when I first realized what they were doing, but I still like settled back into it and I was like, okay, this is fun. Like the blast of sound when that exploded at the end was great.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it was corny, but because like it's serious in the movie,
right?
Yeah. And that's what brings you back, because Marvel, for how often they attempt to do this, didn't undercut that with some stupid joke about this genre sucks or whatever, like something dumb to like really make it not worth it. They didn't do that. They just like let that scene happen, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy yourselves, people. That was a fun that was a fun movie moment.
It was. But you make a great point about like the pulling you back in because of the gravity of the situation that the characters are like expressing in the moment. The way that they utilized the notes in that scene was so cool, and it was like a serious threat that Strange was actually encountering.
Yeah. What would be your favorite scenes aside from killing the Illuminati?
I did mention that I liked that scene in the underground. The other one that I really did enjoy was when Strange slapped the power dampener on Mordo and they had to fight hand to hand and also be chained together. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was also interesting that power dampeners work on magic users.
And also that Steven had time to become at least adept at hand-to-hand combat after those devastating injuries to his hands.
Well, wasn't that part of the training at Kamartaj?
It was part of the training, yeah.
Yeah, there was like he had to be proficient hand-to-hand, but I don't think that that's how he's supposed to do stuff.
Yeah.
It just seemed weird to me that he was able to just throw down, and it was like his entire life that guy never fucking punched anything. And like suddenly he was like, oh yeah, I'm just going to straight up fight this dude like one-on-one. It just doesn't seem like that's something he would do. One
of the outcomes that he saw of Endgame, he actually spent all that time training. He spent 5 years learning hand-to-hand combat.
That's true. He could learn it while his body physically sleeps. Yeah. So maybe he could make his astral form sleep and his body can just train relentlessly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why he's super cut.
Yeah.
Probably if I had another favorite scene other than the Illuminati universe, I really liked the mirror scene where Wanda was going through all the different reflections. That was spooky. That was visually satisfying. I felt everyone's sheer terror as they frantically searched the room for any and every piece of fabric that they could. They just have fabric laying around everywhere too, Joe. There's blankets and there's tablecloths.
Stealing the doilies off the side table. In that scene specifically, though, like America pauses for like just a moment to look in the fucking puddle, and I'm like, why did she do that?
Yeah.
Why did she do that? And then like it was Wanda's eye.
Yeah.
That like popped.
Well, half the fun of a horror movie is watching people make bad decisions. So.
Yeah.
True. I do want to shout out the Evil Dead references and shots.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about what's his face.
Bruce Campbell. Pizza Papa. Pizza Papa needs to get paid.
He kicked his own ass for 2 weeks.
And then it was over.
I saw a meme that somebody sent me, like me watching 20 minutes of Marvel credits for somebody to show up and say, I'm Smiggles Magoo, and it cuts to black. And they sent me that. I said, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
there were people behind me that were literally like, what the fuck? Because I'm sure like everybody else, you were told there were 2 scenes, so you got to stay through the credits to watch it. And Amanda was like, should I go to the bathroom? I'm like, after the first credit scene, you will have more than enough time to go to the bathroom, even if there's a small line. Go wash your hands, come back, and you'll sit down to see whatever the fucking stupid thing is. But she said, no, I'll wait. And that's what we got.
It's over.
That was good. I mean,
that's classic Sam Raimi to me.
Yeah.
It's like, that is his sense of humor. I'm glad he got a 30-second post-credit scene that rustled a bunch of Marvel fans' jimmies.
But what about the first post-credit scene?
I had no idea who it was, so like what she showed up and like said to do, I was just like, oh, it's Charlize Theron. That's cool. Yeah. And then
I was like, oh my God, Furiosa has different eye makeup
and hair.
But she like opened that portal, and then I was like, okay, well, that was it. Wasn't he just screaming 30 seconds ago, like on that same sidewalk?
Yeah, and that's my
Joe's problem.
The exact same scene is that he leaves his apartment and thing happens. He was wearing a different outfit. Yeah.
But
it looked like the same outfit to me, because I watched that and I was like, that was weird. I thought that was like literally 30 seconds. He like stood up. He was like, okay, I closed my third eye. I'm fine. And now this
because they show him closing the door again. But he's wearing like, he matches his color scheme. He's got like a blue shirt and a red scarf that you find out was the cloak the whole time.
That's why
it was the cloak the whole time.
It's also funny that she patched his cloak with the other cloak that we can only assume is also sentient. And like, how does it feel about being cut up for scraps?
And now those cloaks have to coexist. A 6-episode miniseries. Disney Plus. The Cloak of Levitation. How do these cloaks live it out? It's like there's 2 cloaks in 1 cloak body. Every episode is 41 minutes and there's 30 minutes of credits.
And there's no dialogue.
It's just cloaks pointing at each other. No, what I was going to say is about the end of the movie where the third eye pops up on his forehead and he screams out in pain and scared the bejesus out of me because I did not expect that to happen. And then the mid-credit has, her name's Clea, and she's the Sorcerer Supreme of the Dark Dimension, which I recognized because that was obviously where Dormammu was. Like Joe said via text before we started recording, that could have been one scene, but I feel like the repetition of it was intentional. I don't know that the Stephen Strange that we're seeing either of those things happen to are ours specifically.
I think they are.
I think they're both ours.
I'm sure that they are, but I'm saying like it seemed like it was so back to back that it felt like
they're intentionally trying to throw us off.
The same thing happening to 2 different people is what I like.
In
the first one,
multiverse.
The first one is probably ours discovering the thing, but like there's not to say that there's not another Doctor Strange with the fucking third eye thing out there somewhere that Clea needed.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying it was possible. Obviously, in a movie that's like this, like it just seemed like they were so mirrored off of one another, coming out of the thing and doing the thing, and then the thing happens.
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea because, like, technically the scarf could be just an alternate Strange.
Yeah.
Like, you could just have a scarf instead of a cape. I don't know.
I got the sense that they shot 2 post-credits and then decided to use them both.
But it would have been so easy for that to have just been one thing.
Yeah.
Like if he turned the corner and she appeared to him and the dark dimension opens up, the thing pops up on his fucking forehead and he screams, and then she says whatever she has to do, then it happens and it's over. Like it could have been one full scene and you've been done with it.
I do think that the thing with the third eye was effective, at least. So like that's why I'll complain about it, but I'll give it a pass.
Dude, when tropes are annoying, but when you fucking nail them, you'd never even realize that it's the trope. When you do it good, you're like, I can't even complain. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah,
that's true.
I enjoyed everything about it.
Any final thoughts on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness?
Run, don't walk. Go see it as soon as possible. Run on red. Stop on green.
Pizza
Go
Papa.
see it. Get yourself a Pizza Papa. A fucking pizza bowl.
I need a pizza bowl.
I like that she thought that she didn't have to pay for it. That's just funny as fuck.
Yeah, that was a funny line. It's weird. In most universes, food is free.
It's just an excuse that she's saying.
Yeah, she could have made it up.
That's how she's gotten away with it her entire life.
I think that it needs to be seen in a theater on a big screen.
Yeah.
With that surround sound to get that full horror effect. And I really, really, really want to go see it again in the theater. I don't know if I'll actually get to, but I would love to. So you guys should let us know what you think now, because now's that part. So hit us up on social media, Twitter, Instagram, our Facebook group, @PopCannon. You can find us on the Facebook group @the PopCannon Collective. And Robert, let everyone know where they could listen to us.
Oh, well, if you have a preferred podcast platform, you could check us out on that. Be it Apple, Spotify, the Google Play one, any of them. Throw a subscription our way and possibly a rating. I don't want to impose. Yeah. I know writing reviews for things is terrible. You don't ever do the surveys from the grocery store. I understand. But we would really appreciate it. Just take 2 seconds out of your time and throw the 5 stars. You don't have to write anything. You can put LOL or drop a fucking emoji. I don't care.
And if you like watching podcasts, Jordan also shoots and edits these as videos on our YouTube channel. That's at Pop Kannon again on YouTube. Check it out. Check out some of our other reviews up there. Like and subscribe there. Ring the bell so you get notified whenever we have a new episode.
If you would like to, you could find us individually. You could find me on Twitter and Instagram at JL24FPS.
I'm Robert, and I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Yesball.
And I'm Joe, and I'm to Instagram at Joe for Broke.
So thank you very much for watching and or listening. We will see you on the very next episode. We are going to talk about Moon Knight.
Okay.